Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I want to get more into the idea and suggestion that we're going to move toward a new mini set within Splinterlands. There's a proposal, SPS governance. It's currently in that pre-proposal phase, but the details are here in blog form on PeakD that we're going to go through. You've probably seen it, but we need to talk about it. If that's interesting, stick around. Otherwise, check out the next video. So, SPS governance proposal, hire Sea Monsters Company to create a new mini set. And just pop over here to Peak Monsters. You can see that currently it's in draft proposal stage. So, this is the current sentiment. We're currently at 79 million SPS saying yes, and 15 or 14.5 million saying no. That's an 84.5% approval rating, and we're currently below the 101 million required to say yes to sort of advance that conversation. But it is only a 20 hour old proposal or pre-proposal, and so this looks, I think, promising if you're in the camp of liking this idea. But do you even know what this idea is? Let's slow down on this. It's the suggestion that Splinterlands, as they have done with the Conclave Arcana main set and what they did with the Rift Watchers additional set or a mini set, these sets were created and these cards were generated in a way where they were commissioned. They weren't just created by the company with the desire to sell them straight to us as a profit to themselves. They were commissioned by the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, that is represented by SPS holders, and then there was a reward share between the packs being sold. So that was card packs. Whenever a pack gets sold within Conclave Arcana, a 4,000 DEC price point is being paid, and half is going to the Sea Monsters Company and half is going to the Splinterlands DAO or the SPS DAO. And that, again, that DAO is decentralized, and it's actually owned by those who have SPS keys. And so if you have an account with SPS staked, you have a weighted vote on how that money is used. And so that's the background. We have done this before, and I think we ought to do it again. I recently created a video talking about this new Splinterlands mini set, DAO vote and meta changing cards incoming. So check out that video if you're interested. But suffice it to say, I like the idea of creating a mini set. I like the opportunity to create more profitability within the DAO. This is a meaningful cost, though. There's 1.2 billion DEC that are being asked to be paid. So it's 1,200 million DEC tokens, which is 1.2 billion DEC tokens. And the US dollar valuation for that right now would be 1,200 million times 0.0008, which is the DEC valuation currently for on the US dollar valuation. As you can see, 0.00798, close enough to say 0008 Splintoshis. And so the price, the US dollar valuation of that project or that proposal is $960,000. Call it $1 million. And it would be more, right? It would be 1.2 million if DEC was actually at PEG, but it's not currently at PEG. And so it's a really meaningful price point, and it's more than we've ever paid before with the Conclave Arcana. Because there was a share of the rewards with Conclave Arcana, and there was a share of the rewards between the Sea Monsters Company as well as Splinterlands, the SPS DAO on Rift Watchers as well. And this proposal explicitly notes that will not be the case. It says the upfront cost is higher than in the past because there's not planned to be any revenue share with the company for this set, meaning 100% of all revenues will go directly to DAO. That's exciting. I don't want to just read. I'm going to read and sort of interpose my thoughts and opinions on these different unique pieces to what this is, but this is definitely one of the unique things about this proposal. Like I say, this is the first time that we would be receiving full value for every pack sale, and it's a huge amount of money that we could conceivably get. I'm going to scroll down and just show you that the pack pricing is actually 5,000 DEC per pack or 350 SPS, which if you're not tracking is actually a big discount. If you're buying in SPS at current price points, you're talking like $2.50. 350 times point, what's the SPS right now? 008. 008. So we're talking $2.80. $2.80 to buy it in straight up in DEC, but again, it's not really $5 in DEC, is it? Because it's 5,000 DEC times 800 Splintoshi. So 5,000 DEC times 0.0008, so $4 US. $4 US in DEC at current price points, or $2 was it 80 in SPS at current price points. Now there's a huge amount of money that will reach the coffers of the SPS DAO. And the second piece is that with there being there's a very predictable impact to SPS price point, and probably DEC for a sale like this, particularly assuming the cards are desirable. And there's promo cards within the pre-sale that will make it desirable. There'll be 2 limited edition promos, a legendary and a rare, that will be raffled off and handed out to those who participate in the pre-sale. So I would think that there's going to be a pronounced impact on DEC and SPS. That's cool. There's also going to be a huge amount of money that goes into the DAO that is our coffers, our treasure chest. And here's some of those numbers. Based on similar or past events, the team speculates that with the size of the set, we expect but we cannot guarantee that the mini set is likely to sell out, in which case it would provide the following results if the set sells out in each currency. And these are estimations, because who knows if anyone will, if you'll pay DEC or SPS, like, right? Who's to say where they'll go? And it's moving targets, because if I tell you right now that it's $2.80 discount price to buy one of these theoretical packs with SPS at today's price point, if that talking point alone drives SPS purchasing, that'll tighten the supply demand dynamics of that token, affecting its price, driving it upward. And then now you start losing some of that discount. So I bet that's actually why, that's in part one of the fundamental reasons why SPS is up today. The whole alt market is up, and that's probably that's an important point to think through, because if the whole alt market starts running and SPS can stand above as it is today, bigger percentage gains, standing out, drawing more attention, that will draw more player base and more attention on the SPS. So one of my reasons why I like this is because it might create a perfect storm, because player base growth is already happening just because of all the things that are happening in the game. We see that trackable on Peak Monsters if you want to see the number of daily accounts that are playing. Part of that is because of Frontier Mode, Foundation cards, the Black Foil Foundation, weekly reward opportunities. But there's more to it than that too. It's a new mobile app. It's the growth and the success of Conclave Arcana generally, and what that did for the DAO specifically, and how we stand alone in Web3 gaming with like a $3.5 million sales on that pack. So there's a lot of good things happening. So we've got player base growth already happening. Data is available and has been spoken, and like I just pointed to, can be visible on Peak Monsters. Number of players daily, number of new spell books sold, etc. And then you attach that to the idea that crypto, altcoin market might actually be on the precipice of happening, just irrespective of what Splinterlands is doing, and all, rising tide raises all boats. So if that created a tension, if this new sale could create a tension in the SPS, while there's also tension in the SPS because of growing natural growth in the player base, and simultaneously a altcoin bull market, it could be a beautiful, perfect storm. And so I'm excited about it for a lot of reasons. But again, let's focus on this. If it was to sell out based on the price points and the theoretical amounts of DEC versus SPS or USDC that would be spent on those packs, we're talking a lot of money, man. We're talking, it's in the neighborhood of $2 million US dollars in DEC. Again, depending on where DEC is at peg at that moment of analysis, because it might be pushed back to peg, which would make this number closer to 2.5, right? 2.5 million, not 2 million. And the SPS at 181 million SPS going into the DAO. Again, is that at 0.008 US cents per SPS, or is that at 2 cents per SPS? That's going to radically impact the analysis of these numbers. But again, how did you want to try and hold on to that? I think that's a pointer to the probability of tokenomics being appreciated if this pack goes forward. That would be my expectation, that it would impact token values positively. But then there's like almost a ceiling to that. And because if SPS is offering like $1.20 off on your pack as compared to DEC, and then SPS starts getting bought up because of that discount, does that then close the gap between DEC and SPS in terms of the the discount available, driving SPS price up to 1.2 cents. And then now you're paying $4 worth of SPS to get a pack, or you're spending the DEC and you're spending $4 to get the pack. And then does DEC price go up in this conversation, or does it go down because maybe people are burning SPS to create DEC because that's the easier pathway? And then what happens to if we're creating new tokens within the context of DEC while we're already below peg? I actually think that creates downward pressure on that price point. It's all very complicated. So it becomes challenging to actually imagine whether these numbers will be accurate, but also whether it will be an upward pressure exclusively or a downward pressure on our tokens because of, like I said, increased production of DEC through printing by the flywheel mechanics. I don't know all the ins and outs of how that'll play out, but I feel confident that something in the ballpark of these, I feel confident that the team's estimation that this will do well, and that many of the packs, if not all of the packs, will sell seems reasonable to me. It's a relatively small issuance. There will be 250,000 standard packs, 50,000 alchemy, and 250,000 or 25,000 legendary. These are on par with the. Are they on par with the? Let's have a look at Conclave. Okay, so there's way more of the alchemies in the Conclave and the legendaries. So this is going to be, and it's only going to be sold for 6 months at maximum. That's what this document says. After which point, all the remaining ones will be put into the SPS DAO and used however we see fit, which is in and of itself another exciting piece because more value, more rewards, more potential. And, think about this. Okay, so this isn't very many packs. I think they're probably right that they think it'll sell out. It seems plausible, but even if it didn't, something near, most of it would be a crazy amount of value. We're talking about paying nearly $1 million from the DAO, where there's about 7 million in the DAO at this moment. And then we would move what? Another 2 million back in just from DEC. And then that SPS, what's that equal to? 181 million times 0.008. That's the SPS price. 1,448,000. So between 2 million on DEC, 1 million plus on the SPS, and another 2.5 on the USDC, is that a $4 million, $5 million, return? It's like a 4x on our investment cost. Again, predicted. And that's, by the way, that's excluding these packs, which I want to spend a moment on because I actually think that's a really interesting reward structure too. But let's concentrate here again for a minute. $2 million in DEC at current price points, and probably we could move closer to peg, especially if there's real excitement and player base growth, especially if Flywheel starts drawing because players are growing, they're getting excited about the pack, they're chasing those black flows, the chase is real, they start getting excited, and they come in and need to buy SPS, and then they want DEC to get some of these packs too. And so anyways, 2 million on DEC, 1.3 or whatever it was, 1.4 on the SPS. So we're up to 3.4, and then another 2.6 on the USDC. Wow, that's a lot of money, man. 3.4 plus 2.6, $6 million. That's a 6x on our $1 million cost that we would be paying them, because the price point is 1.2 million DEC, and at current price points that's just under $1 million US. This, from that angle alone, it seems really, really valuable to strongly consider this. And I know that the pushback is primarily around this conversation, that they're priced in SPS, and the idea is we want to hold it's flywheel conversation. We want to get DEC back to peg so that SPS can enter into the flywheel and start getting burned, etc. I get it, but man, this is exciting because I think it's actually driving SPS purchases right now, and which is what they're aiming at. They know they're expecting that. That's what they're aiming at. They want to create tension on the SPS token by creating an object of the demand for it. You want to buy SPS because you want access to this pack. You want discounted access to the pack. And with the discounts that are available, I actually think they're probably right. It probably will sell out. And so we're talking 5-6x our value in the DAO, which is crazy. That's awesome. But then doesn't stop there, because 25,000 of the reg packs, 5,000 of the alchemy, and 2,500 of the legendary. And you have to remember that these cards will contain black foils. These packs will contain black foils. And so why is that important? Because as it has been seen with Conclave Arcana, the black foil issuances are slower at the beginning and faster at the end, because at the beginning there's the most amount of packs, and so there's a smallest likelihood that you're going to draw one of these amazing cards. That's why so far today, even with $3.5 million worth of Conclave having been sold, there's still so many arcanes that are able to be pulled. Like this is your mint rates: 2 out of 50, or sorry, 5 out of 50, 2 out of 20, 4 out of 50, 4 out of 20. Like even scrolling down, like there are cards that are not minted at all. Runic Skychonk, 0 of 10. Water Divine is 0 of 10. Archer Koi, 0 of 10, 0 of 5, 1 of 0 of 10, 0 of 5, 0 of 1. Like there's a ton of cards, 1 of 1s that have never been printed. And why is it important? Because of a value conversation. It's important because at the end of the print run, when the packs are no longer for sale, who owns a huge chunk of packs? The DAO does. And those packs, when there are no other packs, will be sitting there. And they will be, I think, increased in value over their initial price. So I don't actually think this represents, I don't know. I assume this $287,000 that they're quoting that value as being relates to $4 on the regs, $12 on the whatever, right? Like the base number. But what I'm arguing is that because of the way that the black foil arcanes and the gold foil arcanes are minted, and the greater likelihood being at the tail end, that these are going to be heavy packs. If you know Pokemon, these are going to be heavy packs. And they're going to have a greater propensity for those amazing rips, and that should give them a greater valuation. And that might mean that when they're sold by the DAO or given away by the DAO, they're all that more meaningful of a reward for the DAO and therefore for the community. And so I actually think this is a real asterisk or an exciting piece that I don't know if I would have thought. I hadn't thought about until I read this and looked at this data and thought about sort of, oh yeah, black foils, and how's that going to play out? So 2 last main points. Pushback. Obviously I'm saying I'm excited about this. I think this could be really powerful and impactful towards the tokenomics of the game. I think it could drive attention towards SPS, which should drive attention towards the player base, because the people who are playing, who are interested or paying attention to what our game is, are going to be those. It's going to definitely include a community of people who are tracking it's going to be a subset of people who are tracking the reward potential within the game. SPS being high drives spell book sales. And this is high spell book sales. 500 this is like the game being better. But if SPS was double its price point, triple its price point, 10x its price point, there's a whole other community of people that are going to come chasing after spellbooks and get into the game, and that means they probably want an SPS bag, and that means they probably want some cards, and all that leads to tension on the marketplace, impacting SPS price. So I love this, but I know that some of you are going to hate this, that it's priced in SPS. I've seen it. I was chatting on X with Bulldog, and I saw that he says, sorry, I can't support pricing anything in SPS, especially when DEC is 20% off peg. When DEC is below peg, the number one goal should be getting it to DEC 2 peg. Pricing products in anything other than DEC undercuts the entire setup. And I invited him to kind of give more information on that, and he just said, like, nah, there's nothing more to say. Like Clayboyne said, actually, I like to sell stuff when DEC is under peg. So it's like pointing to, when it's below peg, there's an opportunity. I've seen that in the past. I acquire DEC and I wait for it to go back to peg, and it's a wise play. And I think personally, Bulldog has benefited from that in the past, and good for him. But I think in this moment, I'd like to hear more from the voices that are, that cover this game around why not sell an SPS. I raised concerns in that video I referenced earlier. I said, pricing in an SPS, it seems like it's just a distraction away from our direct goal, which is to hold DEC at peg, and allow Flywheel to delete SPS, which by itself should drive SPS price higher, because limited less and less supply should create a tension on price. That's the theory that we've been living by, seeking after, chasing after, and aiming toward. But at the same time, I don't know that I would go so far as to say that this implementation of pricing must fail. I also don't know that it has to, do anything negative for DEC. It seems like they'll play off one another. I alluded to this earlier, but if there's a discount on SPS on packs with SPS initially, SPS will get bought, closing the gap. And then if there's nobody using DEC for the buy packs, then there'll be a perceived discount within DEC. And does that mean they'll buy DEC? Maybe. Or maybe it means they'll sell SPS or they'll burn SPS to get DEC, and that's what we ultimately want. And so this is a complicated topic, and I would love to hear more intelligent minds discussing the ins and outs of this, the perceived implications and the expected consequences, and maybe there could be unexpected consequences that come to your mind that don't come to my mind. And so I really, really want to think that through more closely. But generally speaking, I think this is the one main criticism, that it's priced in SPS. And man, I have to admit, I think that's it has a lot of reasons to be excited about it. Tension on SPS price, discounted packs meaning more pack selling meaning more money in the SPS DAO, the SPS DAO standing to gain 5 or 6x its valuation, the packs themselves having a perceived, or in my mind, a predictable multiplier of their initial valuation, and they'll be DAO assets which we can sell or give away, or right. I think there's some really cool stuff where we can hand out to content creators, or to even if we want to do advertising with that. Like, are there large gamers, blockchain gamers that we could attract by putting to work some of those assets? I don't know what would be the best utilization of that, but I feel strongly that not only is $6 million meaningful, these packs are meaningful. And so, and then finally, this is where I want to land the plane too. Here's the thing. Even if you hate all of my arguments around why it's exciting, why I might be hopeful about what it could do for SPS and for DEC, why I think it'd be good for the DAO, check this out. Please note, if this proposal or a similar one to it does not pass, the Splinterlands company reserves the right to produce and launch a mini set at its own expense and retain all proceeds. And so, we really got to hold on to that one, guys. I don't like the suggestion that we're going to I don't think this is good enough. It's not good enough to just say, I can't support pricing in SPS, conversation done. Even if major players feel that way, why? Think it through. Don't just, and I'm not trying to be negative towards Bulldog, or maybe towards you if you feel strongly about that. But I'm really trying to pull us into a deeper conversation, because it doesn't help us to just make up our minds and dig in our feet. Let's think it through. Let's use the intelligence we have, and we have a lot of intelligent people. And let's communicate about this fact, but within the tension of, if we don't like it, it doesn't mean it's going away. If we don't like it, it probably will still happen, because the team needs revenue. And so either we get it from the DAO, the Sea Monsters company gets it from the DAO in a way that allows the DAO to profit almost certainly in multiples of what we put out, or the team takes that benefit, which, by the way, wouldn't be the end of the world in my opinion either. If we say no to this, I bet Splinterlands, Sea Monsters, the company, does the pack sale, and they get 3-4x what they would have got from us. I say a smaller multiplier because they'll do some, if it's them selling it, they're going to do some sort of sweetheart, price reduction. They'll do something because they won't want to be perceived negatively. These prices will probably come lower or something like that. But they'll still get way more money, which could be good, because Splinterlands needs the money. The team needs money to continue operating, and it would be cool if they got a big boon because we were too scared to take an action on a May set. But I do think fear would be the reason we would be saying no at this moment, not logic. And so I'm inviting with this video, and maybe in the comment section below, let's make sure, check this out, that we are encouraging the team to attend these with influencers. Look at the People's Guild and several other influencers in the community have requested a special interview with the team to answer questions regarding the proposal. A call with Dave McCoy is planned for Thursday, August 28th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And so there you go. The conversation is happening. Let's go enter into it with good faith, and let's actually seek answers without any sort of the heels dug in. I hope that makes sense. It seems like even though it's different than I maybe would have desired or I might have planned myself, I think this is promising. Let me know in the comments below whether you agree or disagree with me. Okay. Have an amazing day. God bless.